Hi, my name is Roland Khorshidianzadeh. I'm the host of On the Rise, and with me today is Steph France.
How you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Pretty good.
So before we actually discuss the topic, which is quite a doozy, the 2016 election, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
28. I live in Rhode Island. I'm not really Republican. I'm not really Democrat. I'm like right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that gives us a nice segue into the 2016 election. Where do you see yourself politically in terms of party? Who would you vote for?
Right now, it's tough. It's a tough race. I'd say right now, man, I want to vote for Hillary, but I can't. I'd say I'm gonna vote for Trump. I think.
Really?
I know it's shocking. I know.
Wow, that's interesting.
I know.
Okay. Well, I'm an independent. I lean more left. As soon as Trump started talking about extreme vetting, that turned me off from him. I'm half Iranian, so I mean, I'm not Muslim, but I know that Muslim is basically another word for Middle Eastern to those people, so that put me on the defensive immediately.
Yeah. A lot of his things with the immigration, I don't believe. Like I don't like the idea of sending everyone that's already here back. I think that's kind of completely irrational. I do think that we need to be careful who we're letting in. But I don't want to be in the same predicament as say Germany or Sweden, who are just overwhelmed right now. And I think that we're a strong country, and I think that in order to stay strong, for now, I'm not saying like shut down the borders, put up a gate. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying be careful, just make sure we're bringing the right people in.
Right.
So.
Okay. How do you feel about the third-party candidates, Gary Johnson, Jill Stein?
Honestly, I think Johnson. I think he's a little bit. I don't think he's there yet. Stein's great. I just don't think she's strong enough on certain policies that I think need to be a little bit stronger on. So.
It's been a train wreck following the news lately. We're recording this as of towards the end of October for those watching this later, and I just can't believe how the Republican Party is basically imploding.
Everything's going crazy. Everything. It's definitely it's a good time to be alive. I think it's interesting. It's fun.
Yeah, this is more like something that you'd see in a history book rather than.
Exactly. We're gonna be reading about this. So. Good time.
I feel like the party is about to split in half unless they find someone radically different who can unite them somehow.
The party. I just think that they're just weird. I mean, first they're for Trump, and then they're against Trump, and I think that right now the whole party is in question. They really just need to either come together as a team or split up and do whatever, because this whole different direction thing, I mean, people are supposed to be strong together,
Right.
but they don't even know what they're doing, so.
The strange thing is, you have the country club Republicans, and then there was the Southern strategy in the 1960s, where the Republicans inherited the old Dixiecrats. So you have the country clubbers and the Dixiecrats, and that always looked like a strange combination to me, because you've got the wealthy super elite, and then you've got basically rednecks. And the two don't seem like they'd naturally fit together.
I agree. I think, honestly, I feel like Trump, as a person, I feel like he's more of an independent. I feel like him, like, as himself, I feel like he's snapped out in the middle. What I think happened was because of the whole you have to pick a party. I think that he needed some support, so he went, to the Republicans for it. Now they just don't want to give him any for some weird reason. But
Right.
I think that he's adapted a lot of these new views just to kind of lean to the side for more support, because if he was just an independent, I feel like he would probably have less support coming into it, so.
Well, that's a problem with the political system overall, because basically you only have two political parties. So if you align yourself, you're aligning yourself with one set of views, or you're aligning yourself with another set of views, whether or not you agree with them. And I don't know what your view is, but George Washington, he didn't believe in political parties, and I'm very much of the same mindset.
Yeah, I think political parties are ridiculous. I just think it shouldn't really exist.
I mean, let's look at Iraq, for instance, where you'd vote, and your only choice was Saddam Hussein. You'd have one choice.
Mm.
And here, we have exactly twice that. So basically, we're twice as better as electing one leader by default.
Yep. Yep. I think that the third party, the like Johnson, even though I don't like him, and Jill Stein, I think that they should at least be able to debate. Like, I don't know why they were just shut out. I don't think that was really fair, but
I have a theory about that, actually. I think it has less to do with the 15% threshold and more. They expect these debates to be strictly a two-way argument, and bringing in 4 people cuts down on the number of questions that they get to ask and the amount of material that's covered during the debate time. And I think that the Democrats and the Republicans, they're not prepared to receive viewpoints from other parties because they know how to react to the opposite party, but they don't know how to react to these people from different sides, and they're going to throw them curveballs.
yeah, that definitely, that makes sense. I mean, I can see how, I mean, it definitely makes for a more interesting debate, I think, having 2 just go and cut through at each other. I mean, you saw that debate, right?
I saw all 3 of them. Well, 4 of them if you count the VP.
Yep. What'd you think of them?
Well, I think that they spent very little time discussing the issues and more time attacking each other. They didn't discuss police reform, they didn't discuss LGBT, they didn't really discuss anything about Afghanistan, and every time Trump started to discuss emails, he didn't follow up on it, he just moved on to something else. He was in constant defensive, and then Hillary basically had it easy where she was contrasting herself to a guy who basically represents 1950s America, so
Yep.
basically it was a clash of the egos, that's what it was.
Exactly. There was like there was no substance. It was just pure attacking and being defensive. Which, I mean, it's good to get the knowledge that, the information that isn't really good about the other person. It's, like, I understand they want to get it off their chest. They want people to know it. But at a certain point, it's like, all right, settle down, chill out. Let's talk about the real problems.
Yeah, but with them, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
even at the roast yesterday, I mean, they couldn't even keep it under control even then.
At least in the beginning, Trump was, a little bit of good humor in there. I think that was kind of funny. But then then it just got brutal all of a sudden, like right near the end, right?
Yeah. Oh, she pretends to hate Christians, and then there was that zinger about how when other people look at the Statue of Liberty, they see what America stands for. Donald Trump sees it, and he gives it a 4.
Yep. It was interesting to watch. They really hate each other, man.
Yeah. Some people were talking about how Clinton and Trump, they were in on it together, where Trump would run and then lose and then Clinton would become president. I don't believe in that conspiracy theory, specifically because the way they hate each other, that is not acting.
Yeah, no way.
And even if they were friends back in the 2000s, I mean, there's no way they're friends now. I mean, friends have falling outs, and they had a falling out.
Big falling out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think they could be in the same room without butting each other's heads off, but.
Yeah. I remember in 2008 at that same type of dinner roast where McCain was like, well, Barack Obama, you've made a ton of history already, and I can't wish you luck, but I wish you well. Such a different tone.
Yeah, that's right. That's like real polite and just. I mean, it's such a weird election. Everyone's saying it's like the most brutal. But I mean, the good thing is people, our age are starting to pay attention because it's like, before I think what was it like last year? Was it there's like 56%, voting, like people only 56% of people voted. It's
yeah,
like,
that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I hope it's more now.
I think it will be because people feel a lot more passionate this time than they did last time. Well, the people who are really enthusiastic are really enthusiastic. Other people who they're like, oh, I don't know who I want to vote for, or I don't know if I want to vote at all, their level of enthusiasm probably isn't any higher. I mean, you have the people who would reluctantly vote Trump or people who would reluctantly vote Clinton. I don't think there's high enthusiasm there.
Exactly. But I mean, I hope people are informed. I hope they're, you know, really reading up and just learning about each different thing about each, candidate, and that's important.
I think that a major problem that we've had ever since 2000s, quite frankly, is partisanship, and the political map is hardened so much that people don't really take the effort to put any research into the candidates anymore.
Yep.
They know who they're going to vote for right from day one.
Exactly. And yeah, you just pinned it right on the head. Yeah, exactly. People are just, I mean, a lot of people, our age are, they don't know enough, and they say things and they don't know what they're even saying, and they're just kind of repeating like a slogan. And I just really wish people are just researching and knowing what it's about and learning politics in general. 'Cause it's just I mean, there's so much to learn, so much.
And then someone who doesn't know the facts, you hit them with facts, and then suddenly they
Oh, yeah.
shut down. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, they start
What to
calling you
say.
names. That's like their fallback. Calling you names and yelling at you and walking away. It's like, but it's just saying the facts.
Well, that's how you know you've won. What I really hate is when someone is like really gung-ho after you, and even if you want to stop debating, they just keep after you.
Yep, and they just can't drop it. You try to change the subject, but they're just like right back to it.
Well, that's another thing. That's another thing that's led to the degradation of civility. People don't want to be civil because they just want to keep on fighting.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if there was a historical parallel, what I wonder is America right now where it was probably in the decades leading up to the Civil War? Are we like at the 1840s right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that especially, I mean, it's a weird thing, the fighting thing. As a nation, I feel like we're very, so aggressive as people. We're just always just, fighting with each other, politics, wars constantly. I mean, hopefully things change.
What issues do you think that should have been brought up during the debates weren't?
I think, personally, I think the abortion debate should have been talked about more because, I strongly disagree with Trump's stance on abortion. I think that should have been talked about more. I think immigration should have been talked about more. Taxes, I really think they should have. I mean, there's just so much that you can only fit into that segment. A lot of times, like you said, they're just arguing constantly, so you really can't get to the good information that you kind of need.
Yeah.
So.
It's almost like you should have a 3-hour debate, and then you cut it down to 90.
Right. It's like it should just be. I feel like it should just be like a weekend event. Like dinner breaks, food breaks, back in it, because that's how much there is to cover. That's what needs to be covered.
Well, they'd have to take breaks because otherwise they'd be ready to kill each other.
Yeah.
And look at Donald Trump, he falls apart after 30 minutes. I actually timed it. I was like, you know what? I bet he loses it after 30. I bet he loses it after 40. I made predictions like these during the 3 debates, and I turned out to be right every single time.
He's been, to be fair, he's been keeping a good poker face though. You ever see like when they ask a question and he responds and he's just stone cold. It doesn't even. It looks like he's not even like listening to the question, but he's just really like. That's gonna take some effort, just hearing all these questions and kind of being attacked and not be able to react whatsoever.
Yeah, because as soon as you react, they're gonna be all over him.
Yep.
They'll be all over anyone, but they'll especially be all over him.
Exactly. So his poker face, I thought, was impressive. Because I mean, how do you get told bad things and not be like, what? So.
What about police brutality? That was something that wasn't brought up at all during the debates, really.
That should have been brought up. Definitely. And I think that's a big, serious problem we have. Big time. But I don't think it's big enough that the UN needs to come in and teach our police officers how to do their job.
No, that would be... No, we don't need that. What we really need is... We just need accountability, and if you think someone is suspect of anything, you arrest them and have them stand trial. You don't execute them because you're not judge, jury, and executioner.
Exactly. This whole pulling out their gun when no one even has a gun and just shooting, and it's... What are they teaching these people at these schools they're going to? Like, what are they teaching them when you're scared? Pull out your gun and shoot immediately? Because that's what it looks like on every single camera.
Yeah, they should be able to handle a conflict without a gun, because if all they use is the gun, then if they lose their gun, they won't know what to do.
Right, exactly. And half these times, the other person does not have a gun. They don't, and they're just like shooting them. I don't get it, and it's got to be a problem with the way they're being taught to handle situations, or they're just not strong enough to control themselves in a stressful situation where they're just trigger happy and they're scared and they're just shooting like crazy.
Well, there's another problem too. If you look at cops, a lot of them are ex-military, so they're probably veterans from Afghanistan or Iraq, and they have PTSD, and then they're going into the police department, and PTSD doesn't go away, so now they're bringing that with them.
Yeah, they should have I think they should have a harder psych evaluation. Definitely. I mean, about that, what shooting was it? It was a female cop and she shot the big guy that was kind of standing near his car, and they have it on their cam, and she says like, "Oh, I got scared," and the other cop was like, "Oh, he looked like a really big bad dude."
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
What? Like what? Oh man.
It's like, unless you have evidence that he was doing something, you can't shoot
Right.
someone.
Right, he was scary. Just shoot him. You can't do that. Like what? Like, hopefully
Yeah.
she's gonna go to jail. Hopefully, because we can't have cops like that. I mean, we can't. They're at this point they're so untrustable. It's scary even to talk to one, knowing all this stuff's going down.
Yeah, exactly.
So we need somebody to come in and examine these schools they're being taught at, or what's happening. And definitely those body cams. They need to have them on all the time. And I mean, they have to work on it. That's a big problem.
Well, what I'm wondering is, was this always an issue, or did this just recently become an issue? Because after George Zimmerman, it's like these stories popped up everywhere. But what I learned in school is, if it bleeds, it leads. So maybe they're reporting these stories because these are the hottest stories, and before, for some reason, they weren't, or because of the body cams and social media, there's more awareness than there was before. But prior to 2013, there was still social media, so there still should have been an awareness. So I'm just wondering what prompted that change.
I feel like it's been going on for a long time,
Yeah.
and I feel like people are just really sick of it now. Like they're just kind of like, enough's enough. And I think that's what's happening. Everyone's just kind of ganging up together, and they're being like, all right, this is totally like no more of this, because they're taking advantage of people at this point. You know, just pulling people over when they want, just because they can, arresting because they want. If they, they can just, search your car if they just think there's something in it. So what's to stop them from planting something in there just to get you in trouble because they don't like you?
Yeah, exactly.
So that needs to be handled.
Yeah, that's one issue. Another issue is Social Security, and they always bring it up, but no one ever seems to come for an answer. Oh, Social Security, it won't exist 50 years from now. Okay, so what do you replace it with? And I've never heard an answer for what do you replace it with. What happens when we're old?
I don't know. I mean, I think Social Security. It's security. We need to have it always.
Yeah, well, I'm not planning on retiring. Let's just put it that way.
I think that isn't the retirement age? Isn't it getting to the point where it's like people are like 70, 75? It's like growing. It's getting.
It's growing. I don't know that it's 75 yet. From what I understood, they increased the retirement age for people born in 1950 from 65 to 67, something like that. But by the time they get up to people born in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it's going to be a lot higher.
That's incredible, man. I mean, that's like people live to retire and just chill out, and they're just like, oh, we're just gonna make it a little longer, a little longer, a little longer. It's incredible. This whole economy needs a nice shakedown.
I think it needs a reboot. That's what it needs.
Definitely reboot. Good word, definitely.
Okay, so what else would you like to discuss about the debates and the election in general that hasn't been followed up on too much?
I think that the WikiLeaks are so important, and I'm really frustrated and mad about the media refusing to cover it. On CNN, I believe it was yesterday, somebody brought it up and they just shut the screen down. They did like the stripes, different color stripes.
Yeah.
And even the WikiLeaks show that the media's in Clinton's pocket, and that's such a big problem because that means a lot of people are getting misinformed, and a lot of stuff in the leaks are literally criminal. betraying, like, America, they're criminal, and no one even reads them. No one.
Well, for the purposes of the audience, what in there is criminal?
Um, there's pay for play, a lot of pay for play.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of money, like money goes in, then they schedule an appointment with her, and how she's getting money from Saudi Arabia, how she's working the media, a lot about her emails that she says she's going to go through first and delete all the ones that she doesn't want to send in. So willingly, she knows she did something bad, but she told, the chairman that she didn't know. She just doesn't know. She doesn't know. But she did emails.
You know what's interesting about the emails? The fact that there's a virtual record of everything now, because I highly doubt that Hillary Clinton is the only one who's had mails that she's deleted or gotten rid of or anything, so maybe the media is afraid that if we expose Hillary Clinton or discuss at length the emails of Hillary Clinton, then they could discuss the emails of several other politicians, and then it's a never-ending cycle. Maybe that's what they're afraid of.
I can completely, that makes a lot of sense. I totally agree with that. At the same time, it's like, she's going to be our president, and if this is illegal stuff, if she's literally selling parts of, uranium and parts of our government positions, just selling them away, it's like, oh, what is she going to do? Like,
Well, I'm going to be honest, I don't think that anything Hillary does is going to be radically different from any of the previous presidents, because who knows what Obama's done or what Bush has done or what Bill Clinton has done or what H.W. Bush did or what Reagan did going back.
That's true, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be completely, a big change, but I'm very concerned about the TPP
Mm-hmm.
and how she has confirmed it. I mean, she helped put it together. So for her to support it, I believe it was 47 times on the record, and then all of a sudden be like, and in the email she says, her staff says, Hillary is very not willing to publicly dismiss the TPP, but she's willing to do it for the votes. So, and it says it in the email, so it's like, when she says, oh, I don't like the TPP, it's like, you like the TPP. Yeah.
You know what else? We've gone this length of time talking about the election, and we haven't even brought up Bernie Sanders yet.
I know. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I feel bad for Bernie. He just got totally taken advantage of. I mean,
I think what he did was amazing, though. I mean, basically, he's always been an independent, and then he joined the Democratic Party, and then he got as far as he did and had Hillary adopt as many of the platforms as he got her to adopt. So, actually, I don't know if he knew if he'd win, but he actually did accomplish a lot.
he did. I mean, personally, I think he was, I wasn't really a Bernie fan because he's kind of a socialist, so I'm not really pro that, but, I mean, there was no doubt he was so much less corrupt and twisted than Hillary, and the fact that she literally threw him under the table, is terrible, terrible. And Bernie fans, I mean, and it came out now she's been hiring people to go to the rallies and pretend like they're all crazy just to get the cops there, and it's just dirty play. It's dirty play, it's not right, and I feel bad for Bernie that he didn't get a fair shot, because I feel like he would have been, I mean, who knows,
Yeah, that would have been an interesting debate to
That would
see.
have been really interesting. He was I think he was a good guy, definitely better than Clinton. Did you like him?
I liked him. I actually voted for him in the primaries.
All right.
Yeah. What did you think of the vice presidential debate between Pence and Kaine?
Oh, wow. I think honestly, I think Kane's a little bit of a little bit of a weirdo, kind of.
The way he came off, I think he went into that debate super confident, like, I have the upper hand, I'm going to win. And then Mike Pence was like, no, no, no.
It was like the personality difference was like so, I mean, I believe that Tim Kaine, like, he was really trying. But it just seemed like it was like he had like 4 cups of coffee and then went in there, because he was just like going at it.
Yeah, he was wild-eyed.
Yeah. Taking notes like a madman.
Yeah.
He handled like I said, the abortion, because that's super important. I mean, he handled that really well.
Mm-hmm.
Pence, I just feel like Pence really, because of the stark contrast of personalities, I feel like Pence really shined because he was calm, collected, um, you know, knowledgeable, didn't really give in to the bait that Kane was giving him.
Mm.
So
He's the anti-Trump. He looks like he has the temperament. The only problem is his supreme denial of anything
yeah,
objectionable. No, Trump never said that. That never happened.
yep, exactly. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't like Pence. I don't believe in his views. I think that he believes in, what is it, like something camp, where like gay people can go to a camp and then be straightened or something like weird like that.
I think I heard that. I mean, he's definitely against gay, lesbian, bi, trans, any rights that help them. And I didn't hear about that story, but that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
He seems very much of that mindset.
which is just weird. It's just strange. I mean, this day and age, you know, he's. I don't think he's a bad guy. I just think that you gotta bend a little. You gotta be a little bit, more human than that.
That's another thing. I'm going to take this outside of the election now. Just in general, the gridlock that's been between the president and the Congress these past several years. Basically, the Grover Norquist pledge that if Obama's for it, they're against it, and you get nothing done.
I think that Obama has taken a very ignorant stance on just passing laws because he can, and has not been going through Congress and has just been doing whatever he wants. And I think that's what's causing a big, big problem. Is, they're not working together. It's like they're just going in different directions. They want different things, and I think that's
Well, I think one feeds the other, really, to be honest.
like how.
Basically, Congress doesn't want to work with Obama, so Obama says, the hell with you, and he bypasses them. And then they say, well, you're breaking the law by not listening to us. And he's like, I'm practicing executive order, so I'm not going to go through you. And then they say, well, if you're not even going to bother to talk with us, we're not going to cooperate with you. And then it just feeds the vicious cycle.
That definitely makes sense. I mean, definitely. If he was passing good stuff, I really wouldn't care. But the stuff that he's passing, it's like, what are you doing? And he's just doing it so sneaky. And I mean, of course, like you said, if they're holding a grudge and they're like, well, now we're just not going to work with you at all now. Do it yourself. That's bad. That can't happen. They need to work on the relationship.
Well, I remember in the 90s when Bill Clinton was dealing with Newt Gingrich, and he moved further to the center, and then they gave a little, and there was compromise. Or before that, you mainly had Republicans as presidents, and you mainly had Democrats in Congress, and basically, unless you compromised, there was no way anything would be done for long stretches of time.
Yep. I think that, they need to compromise. They need to meet in the middle. This is America. You got to get things done, but you can't be totally irrational. Life's about negotiating, about, making deals. And I mean, there's no way to please everybody, but geez, guys, I mean, it's your job to kind of get along with each other.
Yeah. It's kind of like people who are really for a particular candidate, and then their candidate loses, and they get extremely upset.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, you know what, you're never going to get exactly what you want, or who you're for is never going to be completely perfect.
Exactly.
I could name a politician, and you could come up with 50 things wrong with them. You could name one, I could find 50 things wrong with them. That's just the way it's going to be because we're voting humans.
Exactly. No one's going to be perfect,
But I really, really don't like that. Realistically, only two people will ever win, one of two people. Other governments, they should look at other governments and see that you could have 50 people running and then you choose the best one out of those.
I think that their whole, who even gets to be, up there, there's got to be some sort of I feel like it's a scheme. Like there's some, people who just get to be put in that specific privilege where they can run, and some people just don't, and they can't really get to that same standpoint.
Well, it's like you need to raise so much money, so by default you have to be rich to run for president.
Yep.
And if it's only one or two people, then the masses, they have binary thinking. It's either a 1 or a 0. So they don't have to put a lot of effort into thinking about these candidates or doing any research. They're like, I'm a 1, this person's a 1, so I'm voting for him.
Yep.
He's a 0, I'm a 0, I'm voting for him.
Yep.
Literally binary.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, no, you're right. You have to be rich to run. You have to. You got to be rich or part of some sort of government family somehow. And we need to. It'd be really great if we could just, have whoever we want run and then.
Oh, and who can survive the smear campaign? Because if we've got nothing, they'll make it up.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Or take it way out of context.
It's insane.
And it's going to be.
Crazy.
It's going to be worse, say 20 or 30 years from now. Look at what this person said on Facebook or Twitter.
Yep.
Back in 2016.
I mean, even now it's like, oh, did you see what so and so tweeted? Like they're like literally. Oh, it's insane.
Well, that's going to be nothing compared to college frat party photos.
Oh yeah, I know. It's because everything's out there now. Everything's on record. Every tweet we've ever done. We've got so much. Probably trash for ourselves that social media. Did you hear about not to be super off topic, but Twitter? Some sort of hack today or something like that?
I actually didn't hear about that.
Something weird with Twitter and Shopify, like they were shut down or something weird like that.
Wow. Well, I'm glad I barely use Twitter. I mean, I have a Twitter account, but I think I've tweeted possibly 10 times since 2010.
Yeah, Twitter was supposed to catch on, but I feel like around here, no one really has a Twitter.
My objection to Twitter is you're only allowed to type so many words, and it has to be so short, and you can barely say anything when it's so short. All you can do is say taglines or sound bites. I mean, my brother was telling me you could post a link to something else, and then in which case I'm thinking, so why don't I just stick with that something else?
Exactly. And you gotta like modify how you talk so that you can fit so many words in there. But then you're sending it and then other people are trying to correct you like you're an idiot. They're like, this is spelled this way. You're like, yeah, it's because I only have like 4 words I can work with.
Or the way you would type things out. I mean, I would rather just spell out the word, but with Twitter, I'd have to just type before or before, and that makes it look like I never went to school.
Yep, C-U-Z, cause, yeah, and then everyone critiques it, and they're like, that's not how you spell it. You gotta work with what you got. You got like, 28 words, I think?
That sounds about right. I thought it was 50, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 28. I mean, it goes by character, not by word. Because, you could always have a big word in Twitter.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Though I don't know how often you see that.
I just started using it just because the election, all this news, like all this new news is coming in. Like, James O'Keefe, he released his videos on Twitter first, so I had to watch those.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you watch them?
I haven't seen them yet.
Oh, it's he dresses up. He looks actually kind of goofy, but dresses up, goes into the. I'm blanking. I forgot what it's called. The place that handles the campaign for Hillary. Goes in there and he starts talking to them, and they're just giving him all this like information and saying how like tips on how they're going to rig the election. How one guy actually says, I think they call him Black. He said that he was the guy who put together the Chicago thing so that they had to shut down one of Trump's rallies, and he's like, that was me, blah blah. So James O'Keefe took this, gave it to the media. He was supposed to be on Fox, but Fox, he had an interview the next day, but they cut it. They're like, no. Mm-hmm. And when asked why, they're like, we're afraid, because if Hillary's president, then, we don't really want that. So.
Hold on a moment. Yeah, anyway, okay.
But it's, that's the same problem with the media. They don't want to cover all the good stuff, but you still have to check them out. I mean, they're kind of long, but they're good videos. And these people, they're just so arrogant about it. They're so arrogant. They're so cocky and just like, oh yeah, we're not going to bust people in because everyone's going to know about that. We're going to send them in like rental cars or something like that. It's crazy.
My issue is it's with the news, because whenever I turn on the news, they keep talking about the same thing. It's not 24-hour news. It's 1 hour of news spread over 24 hours.
Right. It's one topic that they just drill. They just drill it till the end. And I'm with you. I turn off the news too. I mean, my girlfriend watches CNN, MSNBC, and they talk about one topic and they will drive that home for like 4 hours. And I'm just like, you gotta shut it off. I heard the same word like 400 times.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they should, if they have a massive staff, they should send that staff out to get those stories and then pound us with the stories, not the same story.
or it's like, exactly, yeah, or just one person's, like 50 people's opinion on one topic. That takes like 5 hours.
Yeah, and an opinion is not news. That's just spin, because they don't have enough news content that they found, so then they have to get an opinion. And then they say, well, actually we have to get another opinion to balance that, and then there's no end to it.
Right, and they just got to keep on bringing it in to balance it. Yeah, no, that's so long. How about the, I think it was Megyn Kelly on
Yeah.
Fox, how she interviewed that woman and she freaked out over the emails.
Mhm.
Like she said, you gave Clinton a question to one of the debates, and she was like, how dare you, I'm a Catholic woman. Like, I don't even remember what she said, but it was like, I mean, that was one interesting thing on Fox right there, but.
All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up now. It was great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. This is On the Rise. I'm Roland Korshidian-Zada. See you next week.